With the release of the Sane Trilogy, the Crash Bandicoot franchise found new life. Going back to the franchise's roots and remastering those PS1 games brought a lot of people back. And now Crash 4 It's About Time is coming out, which is a direct sequel to the last of those games. Now back in my day, this was Crash 4. My family accidentally got me 2 copies one Christmas, but whatever, they're both outdated now.
Whoa!
Actually like them. The music of the series is instantly recognizable, but around the time of the Sane Trilogy's release, there was a little bit of controversy surrounding the newly crafted versions of those classic tracks. It wasn't some big blow-up or anything, but it's an interesting enough topic that I'd like to dive into it a little bit more. So let's dive. Josh Mansell composed the music for Crashes 1, 2, 3, and Crash Team Racing on the PS1. That music is so iconic, and is instantly recognizable for its plucky and fun sound. The PS1 was very limited in what it could pump out in terms of audio compared to today's standards, and that was especially the case with Crash. So much memory was dedicated to the rest of the game that there wasn't much left for the audio. Mansell would write loops and send them off as regular audio files, and also as MIDI files with one-note samples, and Naughty Dog handled the rest. It was so limiting that he couldn't really have long notes, dense chords, or reverb effects. But limitations sometimes lead to the best art, and those short, plucky sounds and that low fidelity live on in the hearts of countless gamers. However, when it came to redoing Crashes 1 to 3 for the Sane Trilogy, Mansell was not asked back, and while some fans have no issues with the new audio, many fans took issue with it, thinking the music lost a bit of the original spark, and Mansell himself seems to agree. On Twitter, after the official PlayStation account tweeted about a pre-order offer featuring the Polar Bear stage music from Crash 2, a fan mentioned Mansell in a reply, asking for him to offer advice on fixing or modernizing the remastered track. To which he replied, "Modernize it, lol. That's the problem. What sounds modern today will sound like yesterday tomorrow."
What is today but yesterday's tomorrow?
Replying to another user in the same thread who said there is no problem in modernizing music for remakes, Mansell said, "I agree, but I'd swap out modernize with upgrade, which I would have handled differently. Replace the samples with live instruments." To really get a feel for what he's talking about, let's take a quick look at the music in question on this Twitter thread, Bear It, Bear Down, also known simply as Bear It. Let's just take the opening few seconds of the original and the remake and compare. What I got from listening to both is that the Sane Trilogy version seems to double down on the goofy sounds. Maybe when remaking the music, the team thought the fun, bouncy nature we associate with the Crash soundtracks mainly came from the instrumentation instead of melody and harmony, so they pushed wacky sounding synths and effects more towards the forefront. Mansell, on the other hand, mentioned that he would use live instrumentation to replace samples, and that actually seems to be reasonably in line with his original vision for the PS1 music. Something really cool he has done is upload some of the original Crash music to his SoundCloud page. These uploaded tracks are what he calls pre-console mixes. They're what he originally mixed before it had to get downgraded to fit into the game. What I want to do now is listen to an even briefer excerpt, but from all three: the pre-console mix, the PS1 track, and the Sane Trilogy remake. In the pre-console mix, you hear a low piano sound. It sounds like some MIDI brass in the PS1 version, and in the Sane Trilogy, it's a sample with a lot of overdrive on it. It seems each iteration gets further away from the original vision. Now, this is not me saying any of these tracks is better than the others. Rather, I'm just trying to understand where Mansell is coming from. Speaking of, I'll leave a link to his SoundCloud in the description below. Some really cool stuff there. So, why wasn't Josh Mansell asked back for the Sane Trilogy? We don't know for sure, but many assume it was a money issue. The Sane Trilogy ended up being very successful, but before that, games in the Crash series beyond the PS1 originals just weren't received that warmly, so the trilogy wasn't a guaranteed hit. Keeping everything in-house, including the music, probably saved some cash, as Mansell is a freelancer. The Spyro Reignited trilogy offered the option to use the original music, and got the original composer Stuart Copeland to write new music for the collection. Many assume, after seeing the success of the Crash trilogy, they were willing to shell out a bit more money for Spyro, safely assuming they'd see a hefty return on investment. Assuming that's the case, I can understand both sides. Sometimes cost decisions have to be made, but to watch someone else toy around with your music for a grand comeback of a beloved franchise? As a composer myself, that's gotta be disappointing. To his credit, Mansell stated on social media that he did not want to rag on the music and wanted everyone to enjoy the games. Mansell is not involved with Crash 4 either, so while his days with the marsupial may be at an end, his music will live on, as he set the foundation for the sound of the rest of the franchise. Like I said, this wasn't some huge controversy. I'm not trying to be some reality TV guy that makes everything bigger than it actually is. But I find the topic really interesting because it didn't really get a lot of attention, and it dives more into the industry side of things, which I always find fascinating. And I also think it's cool to dive into the music that's at the center of it. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, give me a thumb, preferably in the up position, and I'll catch you next time.